out there? Welcome to a Word Hole Media presentation of Major League A-Holes in the Hole and Sox Type Thing. I'm Pete.
I'm Ryan. You are in the hole with Major League A-Holes. You are also listening to episode 26 of Sox Type Thing.
Oh, God.
26. Did you do your research this week? I looked it up for you.
Didn't, but it's probably Carlos Quinton, right?
I don't think so. I didn't see him on the list. The most recent one, you might be thinking of Avisail Garcia. He was the number 26 for 5 or 6 years, but I think it's going to be El Duque. Orlando Hernandez, of course, in the 2005 championship team was number 26. But
oh yeah, that's a slam dunk.
Well, I don't know if you wanted to give it to Avisail Garcia, who may or may not have fucked Prince Fielder's wife, thus breaking up the Tigers' reign of terror.
Now El Duque
forcing the trade to your White Sox. I don't know. May or may not. It's alleged. All allegedly.
Yeah. I mean, there's been fucking trades before. There was Rafael Hernandez being traded from the Cubs for fucking Ryan Sandberg's wife. Yes.
That's a famous one. I think
that's a famous one too.
Before.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. No, it's got to go to El Duque. I mean, just for the performance alone in the first round against the Red Sox.
Yeah. And he's El Duque. I mean, you just got to give it to him. So yes, this is the El Duque episode of Sox Type Thing, number 26. It's also episode 124 of In the Hole. We are a quarter of the way into the season, so we're going to give our first quarter grades to each of the 5 teams we cover. Well, 4.5, maybe. We've got a very intriguing badass of the week. I can't wait to get to this. We've got some newcomers to the nominations for this, so looking forward to that. Got a very special asshole of the week where I impugn an entire organization. You won't be very surprised which organization that is. We've also got another aesthetics. They keep rolling out these Nike City Connect uniforms, so we've got to talk about it. I can't stop talking about it. So
this one's going to be quick, though, guys.
Yeah, I think this might be. Well, your White Sox section is going to take up.
No, I meant the City Connect compared to.
Okay.
Past. There's like 3 things we have to talk about on the jersey.
That's right. Well,
that's how shitty Cincinnati is.
I accidentally prepared people for a long White Sox section here. The Sox Type Thing fans, you'll get your fill for sure. There's plenty going on. So I think we might as well go ahead and jump into the news. But we are in mid-May. We are essentially every team's played 40 games. I think the Tigers have only played 39, but 41 games, that usually equals the quarter pole of the season. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of give our assessments of our all below 500 teams.
Ooh, it's not good.
No, I'm gonna start with the Cubs here because they are leading the A-hole standings. I think 3 games below 5. Yeah, 3 games below 500. They're actually only a percentage point ahead of the Tigers in the standings. I think it's 462 to 463. So it was a barn burner of mediocrity. Cubs have been almost exactly what I thought they were going to be. We did our preseason predictions. We also did our preseason grade, or our essentially our off-season grades for what the GMs of each of our teams did or did not do. I gave the Cubs and Jed Hoyer a C-, and accused them.
Generous.
Yeah. I accused them of confusing activity with accomplishment.
Correct.
A long explanation of what that meant. There's a lot of moves they made, but I'm not sure what it really all amounted to. And pretty much exactly what we've seen. The pagoda projections and all the preseason projections, other than crazy diehard whatever Cubs fans that were way too optimistic. Everyone had them in the mid 70s as a win total, and that's exactly the pace they are on right now. I think if the season ended today, or if you multiply their wins by 4, you'd be at 75, or I think it'd be a total of 77, maybe, or maybe I did that the wrong way. I think I looked at their number of games below 500. Multiply.
Right.
So multiply 3 games below 500, you get 12. So that would make them a 77 win team. No, a 75 win team. I'm sorry, I'm getting all this math wrong, but whatever. Mid 70s. That's kind of what I thought they were. That's exactly what they've been. they've been, the solid defensive team we thought. The bullpen has been shaky, and I think we saw that coming, although I was a huge proponent of Michael Fulmer coming over, who just gave up another big home run, late innings home run last night in Houston. Not fun. Another thing I think we saw all this coming, but one thing I did not see coming was getting blown out by the Twins this weekend, at least on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah,
That was
fucking assholes. Thanks for
yeah,
showing up, Cubs.
yeah, disheartening. Maybe they did it just to sabotage the White Sox.
But he also sabotaged your team, who's actually like, a lot closer than the White Sox right now.
Well, yeah, I don't think the Cubs think about the Tigers too much, where they might consider sabotage. Actually, I'm going to talk about that. Might talk about that a little bit later as we get deeper into this, but
sabotaging Javi Baez, Smitty.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yes. Another part of my accusations against the Cubs in the offseason for their actions were just to kind of boost TV ratings, to actually get some actual major league players on the field for people to watch. And I think that's worked. I think they are a more entertaining product, at least. The record isn't really showing. They are a little bit ahead of last year, but at least there are major league players. So I fell for that trap. I am watching Cubs games. And honestly, yeah, honestly, if it wasn't for this last week or so, the record would be a lot different. They've struggled recently. Had a tough May so far, actually. But one question is, as long as I'm talking about the TV broadcast, I don't know if you heard about this. I'm sure you didn't. But Boog Shambi was not in calling the Cubs game on Marquee Network last night due to travel issues. Like, he literally couldn't get to Houston to broadcast the game, so they brought in Pat Hughes from the radio booth and had Zach Zaidman take over for him on the radio side of things. I've never heard of a broadcaster not being able to make it to the game. I haven't seen an explanation about it. Have you ever heard of that? Like, wasn't able to travel?
I mean, normally you travel with the team unless he was doing a national broadcast on Saturday.
That's all I'm saying. It would have been Sunday Night Baseball.
Sunday Night Baseball. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that was Carl Ravitch. So I don't know what the hell Boog was doing. How he missed the chart. I had the crazy idea. Maybe he just went on some random 80s style cocaine binge and just lost his mind. Maybe he was kicked off the charter. I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it. Boog is he uses social media quite a bit, and he hasn't posted anything about it. So I was kind of surprised. So it leads to reckless speculation, like I just did. Boog, tell us what happened. Maybe he's talking about it on the broadcast tonight. We're recording on a Tuesday evening. I think the Cubs come on in about a half hour, so maybe I'll have a better explanation than a random 80s style cocaine binge for the Boog. But yeah, the Cubs are pretty much what I expected. I think they've been hamstrung by their owner, which I've gone over at length for years now. I think the
Chicago theme.
Yeah, the strategy of the general manager, Jed Hoyer, didn't do much to change things in the offseason. It was a lot of smoke and mirrors, I thought. But honestly, the product they put on the field is what I expected. So it's weird. I would give them a lower grade, but I think it's a C plus. Maybe I'll go with a C plus just because it's what I expected. I mean, I gave them a C minus in the offseason, so they're right there. So I don't think I would give it a worse or better grade than that. You can chime in here if you'd like.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's disturbing trends, and it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. They're heading into White Sox territory. In fact,
whoa! Let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
So
that's crazy talk.
Here's the 4 worst teams since April 22nd. The Cubs are 4, the Sox are 3, the Mets are 2, and the A's are 1. They have the worst records in baseball since April 22nd.
How'd you pick April 22nd? I'm curious.
It was a stat that a Cubs beat reporter pulled up on the disturbing trend of the Cubs.
All right.
You want to hear something even worse? You were throwing out some sabermetrics on terrible White Sox offense. The Cubs have now.
I was? Wait.
A few weeks ago, like.
Okay. Did I just black out? What happened here?
Ground ball ratio and all that we were discussing. like maybe 3 weeks ago. The Cubs have now surpassed the White Sox in ground balls at 45.7% of their batted balls are ground balls, and 10.4% of their fly balls are infield pop-ups. They have the offense that was near the top of the league in that first 3 weeks of the season has completely fallen off the table. So all I'll say is I think it's gonna continue to get worse. And the reason I say that is we're talking about they weren't able to close deals on some really bad teams like the Washington Nationals. They lost a series to them. Who's the other?
Their schedule's getting harder, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and this is something I had pointed out when we were passing out our fun little rewards and accolades at the beginning of the season, that the Cubs are going to hit a reality of a harder schedule and just to your point, you gave them a C- to start the year. Weren't expecting anything, but I think it's worse than even that. So that's all. The trend lines are not good there.
So. Yeah, I guess the only thing I'll say to that, at least offensively, we're missing Nico Horner, who's coming back shortly. Not that it's going to change all things. I'm also wondering when the cutoff was for the stat you were just citing with
well, it's from Fangraphs, so yesterday.
Okay, so that's even with the addition of Christopher Morel, who has gone fucking crazy this week in his first week up. Yeah, again, you're probably right. I'm not. We'll grade the second quarter when we get there, or the first half of the season as we get there, and your comments may prove prescient. Right now, I'm giving a C+, mainly because I like to make the graphics for all these segments. And a C is a Cubs logo, and I'll add a plus to it. So it just works really well. So I already used the C-, that same idea for the C- off-season grade. So
yeah, I wouldn't give them more. I wouldn't give them anything above a C-, but I give them a solid D, right now. So, but that's my opinion. So that
I make the graphics. So
yeah,
no. I'm going to move over. So speaking of the D, I'm going to move over to my Detroit Tigers, who are actually up right now. I think they're up 3-0 on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Michael Lorenzen on the mound, who I just picked up in our fantasy league after my comments last week about how his strike throwing has improved.
They are up 4-0, Smitty.
4-0. Nice. My Tigers are kind of a big surprise almost, even though they're 3 games below 500.
That's winning to me.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting anything out of them, essentially. And they have been a far more entertaining watch so far in this first quarter of the season.
They certainly have.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. They are benefiting from being in a terrible division that they're even in the race. Although suddenly, I think the Twins are separating themselves from the rest of the division. We'll see how long they stay healthy or how long that run can last. But
I mean, they're 5-5 in their last 10, the Twins. So
okay, well,
they just happen to play the Cubs, who are a D team. So
C+, but I'm going to give the Tigers a B just because
totally good.
Just because I didn't expect anything. I think I gave them a D+ over the offseason because the little bit they did to improve a wretched offense was frustrating. But they're starting to hit the ball a little more. They're on pace to. I think they have they're 10 points better in their OPS so far than they were last year, which isn't great, but scoring a few more runs per game, hitting the ball out of the ballpark a little more. The bullpen's been great, which is a surprise since they traded away a lot of their bullpen in the offseason, and it's actually better with people's names we don't recognize instantly. Alex Lang has been fantastic. The rotation has been, Eduardo Rodriguez is essentially the best pitcher in the American League over the last several starts. So
insane. I commented to Smitty, everyone. I was at the Sox game, which we'll get to that later, but they were in the rain delay. They kept flashing top 5 AL pitchers, and Rodriguez was on just about every statistical board they showed. I was blown away. I was in shock.
He's starting tomorrow night's game against the Pirates, which, if you haven't noticed, the Pirates are in free fall after a tremendous start to the season, first 3 weeks, but I think they've basically lost that entire. I think they were like 12 games over 500 at one point. I think they're almost a 500 team now.
Yeah,
So
3 games over.
Considering what the Tigers are doing to them tonight, hopefully that continues tomorrow with Erod on the mound. So yeah, that's why again, my expectations were low, so I'm gonna be kind to them on the grading scale. I'm gonna give them that solid B.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, shit, if you want to go B plus, I wouldn't even argue with you with based on expectation. Whoa. I mean, this is a team that has come out of nowhere. They are more like what if I was talking about the team that won't be getting a very good grade in a little bit, the White Sox. Like they're more like where I could see. I was thinking the Sox would be sitting if they weren't doing well. They're doing far below well.
I see.
Like 3 games under 500, right?
That was in the realm of possibility, but
yeah, right. But yeah, they've far
gone outside of that.
Yeah, gone outside of that. So yeah, I mean, I've caught some bits and pieces of Tigers games, and have seen a lot of highlights, and they look like a fun team to watch. And really, that's even if your team's not like doing great, at least they should be watchable,
And so
some aspect of it has to be watchable,
That is a sad state of affairs. It's true, but our teams have brought us to over the last couple of years, like how we're just clamoring for a 500 record.
Well, I think both you and I were clamoring for our teams to, have some sort of offense, and they've all shown signs of offense, but there's other aspects on the other side of the ball and pitching and that just don't allow them to, some of these games you score 5 runs and still lose, which shouldn't be the case. But yeah, the Tigers look good. They're a true contender in a shitty division right now. So.
Yeah, I'm not gonna call them a contender, but they're entertaining.
Contender.
That's kind of all I'm asking for after last season was such a dramatic disappointment, and it was a brutal watch by the end of the year. Just never coming up with a clutch hit. They're starting to hit with runners in scoring position, which is nice. Always nice to see. Riley Green is kind of emerging as the I'm going to call him a good hitter right now. He's projected to be a great hitter at some point. We're seeing him kind of getting finally into the realm of a good hitter. Torkelson is showing some power. He had a double just before we jumped on the air, anecdotally, but he's been hitting the ball hard, not hitting it out of the ballpark, unfortunately. But so yeah, I mean, there's fun things to watch. Unfortunately, I go back to Erod. I think they will be trading him and others at the deadline, just because that's what you need to do when you're going to be losing expiring assets, as he's able to opt out. But we will get to that in our first half grades in the after the second quarter is over. So for now, I'm not too bummed. I'll give him a solid B.
All right. Well, we'll go in order of record. We'll continue that trend.
Yeah, in the A-hole standings, I believe the Giants are in third place.
The Giants, with their illustrious record of, this is great, guys, 18-23, get third place in the A-hole stand. They almost get third place in the AL West, so that's really not, that far off.
Yeah.
As the Dodgers are starting to assert themselves in that division, they have won 6 in a row and 8-2 in their last 10. Doesn't look good for the Giants, but there is one good thing happening with the Giants, and we'll get more into this in the badass of the week. But calling up Casey Schmitt in a small sample size,
we are definitely getting to that.
He's hitting the ball. He was 2 for 4 last night. No one's getting anything by him. They haven't figured out his weakness yet. Maybe he doesn't have one. Maybe he's the greatest hitter of all time. But yeah, that's been the bright spot. The sad spot is they just got swept by the Diamondbacks over the weekend. They did come back and beat Philly last night. 6-2, but they are 5-5 in their last 10, a model of consistency as they seem to just
mediocrity.
Yeah, consistently mediocre. That's where they've been at pretty much every time. I feel like their last 10 is trending at 500.
Well, they're way below that at this point, though, is the only problem.
They're not gonna do anything. I think I gave them what I give them. They're like
I don't remember your grades.
C or something in the off season, maybe a C plus.
They failed to get Carlos Correa, but that may have been it was definitely a blessing in disguise.
He has not been on the field consistently for the Twins so far.
He was starting to hit this weekend, but everyone was for the Twins against those Cubs. But
yeah, the generously given C plus Cubs. But however, one of the things I did talk about, I know, was how I felt like the Giants had assembled a pretty decent starting pitching staff, and boy, was I fucking wrong. However, they are hitting well. I mean, they have when I was looking at all these little stats, I mean, they have the third lowest ground ball ratio. They make solid contact. They make good contact. They drive the ball. The problem is they're starting pitching and then a inconsistent bullpen, which seems to be the story. I mean, I guess if you really analyzed our teams, they all have some of the same characteristics as to why they don't have better records, is that they really can't close out games. And in some cases, they can't even get a starter through like the fourth inning, of a game. So I'm gonna lower my grade though from my preseason grade because of the disappointment of the starting pitching, and give them a D plus.
Yikes! I haven't watched a whole lot of Giants games, so I'm not going to be able to comment too much. But yeah, I don't even remember what you graded them before. But that's kind of the way I was approaching it. Is if I gave my team a low grade in the offseason, anything that happened any kind of positively, I might be able to give them a better grade, since I was kind of expecting. I'm not sure you expected the Giants to be this, have this far below.
I thought they'd be
record.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I thought they'd be in it for the first half.
Yeah, so they are definitely not meeting even low expectations. So I could definitely see justified grading them a D plus.
Speaking of not meeting expectations, perfect segue, Smitty.
There we go.
The Chicago White Sox. I'm trying to decide, should I just get the grade out of the way, then get to the stack of news? What do you think? Or
I might as well get that out of the way. I think it's pretty easy.
All right, yeah, I'm giving the Sox a D.
Oh, wow. I thought it'd be less than that.
No,
at one point, you gave him an F in the offseason.
Yeah, then I raised it to a D because of Elvis Andrus, who's currently on the IL. What a surprise. A plus Sox player on the IL. But I'm going to give him a D for individual efforts by Lewis Robert.
We'll get to him in a bit, too.
Lucas Giolito.
Yep.
Middleton out of the bullpen, like, he has like legit closer stuff. Yoan Moncada, he was on the IL. He's come back. He's still raking. He had 2 doubles the other day, nearly just missed a home run. Those and Jake Berger, those 5 guys, and 3 of those
5 guys. Berger. I like that.
Yeah, like those. That's some offensive pop there, and they still can't win fucking games. Andrew Vaughn's not terrible. He's way better than Jose Abreu right now, which we covered last week. But I'm not putting them on the pedestal yet. But like, they've got the tools there, but something's not clicking. Like I said, things are trending upward. That they were leading the league in ground ball ratio. They're down to 6th worst. So, like
baby
I said,
steps.
It is. It really is baby steps. When you have such a terrible April, I mean, not as bad as Oakland, but when you have such a terrible April, I mean, probably they're by far the biggest disappointment on this podcast, probably, I would say. But there's been some. It's weird. They're not, like, I can sit through an entire game and not cringe. Their fielding's better than it has been with Tony. there's things that are there, but they've dug themselves such a fucking hole that it's going to take 2 somewhat large runs to pull them out of it.
Yeah.
So
when you lose twice as many games as you've won so far in this season, I don't know how you can give anything but an F for that, considering I picked you to win the division going away.
I didn't.
I did. So that's why I would give them an F. Like you said, you go on an 8-0 run, that'd be awesome, but you'd still be 6 games below 500. I mean, that's what that hole that you mentioned that they have dug. So they'd have to do that twice.
Yeah, they do. They need 2 runs. 2 runs.
Two significant runs.
They need to go to Mexico and get 2 sets of runs. But thank you.
I just posted that.
I saw that segment. Yeah. Fresh in my head.
Shits and giggles. But so yeah, I mean, I think for anything, you definitely need to find positives. I think that's impressive that you're not cringing watching White Sox games. You're finding the things.
Games this year.
You can't quit them, as you posted on
social media. Quit. I love my White Sox, even right now somehow.
Well,
I don't despise them.
Well, there's plenty of news as always with your White Sox, despite what should be an irrelevant team who's lost twice as many games as they won so far. There are so many things we need to talk about. So many things that we even forgot to talk about them in the last episode. So
so let's get going.
Yeah.
Let's start with some good. Garrett Crochet returned from Tommy John surgery, a much needed boost to the bullpen. The bullpen is really starting to shape up.
Activated today, wasn't he?
Yeah, activated today. Joe Kelly has been fucking the Joe Kelly we remember.
Does he have the glasses back?
Past. Yeah, I mean, he has been dominating.
Did I mention this before? I think he for some reason he reminds me of Johnny Knoxville when he's got the glasses. He's kind of got the same build. JK. I don't know if that's the connection too, but every time I see him, I'm like, oh, there's Johnny Knoxville on the mound again.
Yeah, he's been great. So we probably have a real left-handed stopper now. They must have known Crochet was coming back so they could stop the Jake Diekman experience a couple like 7 days ago. So that's good news. Crochet returned to the pen tonight. Sox got more good news for Lance Lynn tonight. Well, this is kind of dark for me to go here, but Jose Ramirez will not be maybe in this series at all because he was added to the bereavement list.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, sorry, Jose, for that. But Jose Ramirez, in front of my eyes, has owned Lance Lynn. I have seen Lance Lynn lose 2 ball games last year to the Guardians, thanks to deciding that he could pitch to Jose Ramirez with men on base late in the game.
Yeah. That happens to a lot of teams, not just the White Sox. But.
Yeah, but it's not a way. I forgave Lance because one of them was like the 2nd or 3rd game of the season last year, right? So fine, okay, I get it.
Is Josh Naylor playing in this series against you
guys? Josh Naylor, he loves to destroy White Sox fans.
He just got hot this weekend too. So
yeah,
I'd be a little nervous.
Soul. I swallow your soul. Yeah, Josh Naylor there.
He hit some crazy stat where he hit 3 games in a row. He hit an 8th inning home run to pull the team ahead or something.
Yeah, that was last season you're talking about, right?
No, he just did it this weekend.
Oh, he just did it this weekend? He did something like that last season too.
Yeah, I'd be nervous about Josh Naylor going.
I'm always nervous about Josh Naylor.
Series.
If I didn't have 3 first basemen on my team, he'd probably be on my team. He's still out there on our waiver wire.
Oh, the fantasy league?
Yeah, the fantasy league. But continuing on, Liam Hendricks, Pedro Grifol was asked about Liam Hendricks today, and he said, well, he'll let us know when he's ready to come up. He knows his body. He knows how he feels. He doesn't think he's ready to basically, and he said this like 2 outings ago that, I'm not quite ready to join the big league club yet, but as soon as I'm ready, they'll know. So I did find it interesting that the Sox are just letting the player tell them when it's time for them to come up. I'm wondering if maybe this should be like just a policy going forward.
Well, this is such a unique circumstance. I mean, he's coming off chemotherapy. I don't know how often that's going. I don't know if there's a, typically with an ankle injury or a Tommy John surgery, there's a known, typical healing point, and there's a known regimen and how to get him back and ready to go. So I could see this is a bit unprecedented. He has been back pitching in Charlotte for, is it over a week now, or is it?
Well, he's had 4 outings.
4 outings. Okay.
Yeah. Mixed results. So,
yeah, I wouldn't look into the results at all.
As you would expect, velocity is what we want to look into, which keeps going up. So
I would definitely look at velocity. Other than that, I'm not sure. I mean, command is something you're certainly going to want to see by the end of his time in Charlotte. But
I'm just saying, with how often the Sox have people on the IL and stuff like that, maybe they just let the players make all the decisions going forward. I mean,
yeah, you got to try something different,
right?
Shake it up.
It might be the route to go. Maybe Eloy will just dictate whenever he decides to come back.
Yeah, he would never go on the IL. He'd be always fine.
Well, what's interesting is, did you remember did we bring this up? Oh, we didn't talk about it last week. So, well, why don't we go into Wrath of Han right now then?
All right.
Because I started talking about Eloy, I'm going to switch.
We completely forgot to mention the most ridiculous story of the year, the most unfortunate story of the year. Eloy Jimenez appendectomy. Jimenez.
Yes. Like, I was at the Kentucky Derby for my brother's bachelor party, and
we never talked about that. Are there any stories you can share on this podcast about that?
Not in the air. But what happens at the Derby stays at the Derby.
There what?
What happens at the Derby stays at the Derby.
All
right. But Smitty texted me and was like,
"That's me.
Eloy's in the hospital," and I was like,
I put a question mark. I thought you were going to tell me all the details of what was going on.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you? You tell me. I'm at the Derby. I'm drunk. What's up, man?
I broke the news to you that Eloy was in the hospital. At that point, they just said he had abdominal pain, and obviously later it was revealed he had his appendix removed. But I thought your smartwatch over there that you brag about all the time, that makes you omniscient of all things baseball. It gives you alerts at every moment what's happening.
Well, I'm at an event with 150,000 people, my friend. Not everyone's going to get through to me.
I was going to say, did you have bad service there?
I didn't have bad service, but there were noticeable things that I did not get alerted to.
There were probably other things to watch. You were in the infield, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I was in the infield. It was
probably other things to watch other than your watch at that
college frat party there, basically.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it was a wild time. It's the Indy 500 infield, Smitty, in suits and dresses. Basically, that's all it is.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have been to Indy 500s, and I would not want to wear a suit to anything relatively similar. Were you wearing a suit?
I was all dressed up for the Derby, sweating my balls off. 84
that sounds
degrees
awful.
And sunny. Yeah, it was. $17 for a mint julep took about 45 minutes in line to get anything. It was a good time.
You can't bring a cooler of your own.
No, that's one of the main difference. Yeah, that's one of the main differences. Yeah.
We digress. This is not a horse racing.
Anyway,
podcast.
So the interesting thing about Eloy and the appendix surgery is, do you remember somewhat infamous White Sox signing who also had his appendix removed?
I do not.
Well, one Adam Dunn.
Oh, the donkey
had to have it. Yeah, donkey had to have an appendix removed. Had an appendectomy, and guess how long it took Donkey to return to the field?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was only like a day.
7 days.
Yeah.
He was back hitting in 7 days. There was literally concerns about the stitches ripping out. And he's like, fuck it, I'm playing.
Wow. Well, I think the injury history and the soft tissue issues that Eloy has had over his time, it would be reason for caution that maybe the
Yeah.
big donkey didn't have to have.
Well, the
He could
big
throw
donkey was
caution to the
so
wind.
bad. Big donkey was so bad. I think he was just trying to
Yeah.
do anything to make White Sox fans like him.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but yeah, to be back, and I didn't think anything was odd by the 4 to 6 week recovery time for
No, no,
Eloy.
totally not.
I'm not gonna look for a conspiracy theory there necessarily, but just unbelievable everything he has gone through, and this
And
is why
he
we
was really starting to hit too. That's what was so
yeah.
crazy about it.
No, I mean, who could have expected an appendectomy? I guess we should at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of fear for the directions our minds could go in from here on out. What's next for Eloy after this? I mean, this is why we coined the term Wrath of Han. Everything he touches is turned to shit in some other form, or some form or another. And one of which is this Eloy consistently not on the field for
Yep.
bizarre reasons. I mean, this certainly is none of his fault, but it's just another such a long, ridiculous list of reasons why he's going to miss. I mean, how much time is he going to already total missing of this season? I mean, how is he even going to get back to being able to play in half the games this year? It's going to be difficult.
Yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be
I guess
tough.
we will.
All right,
I'm
yeah.
betting against it somehow.
All right, that's fair. You go to points bets and get your bet in.
Yeah, can you do that? But bet on games played per
Certain
season?
places have like almost a Vegas prop bets on them, so you might be able to find that.
I think that under over is pretty low for Eloy, so
Yeah,
I'm not sure there's much value
it
there.
might be better to take the over at this point.
Hmm.
Might get a better odds on that.
This is why I don't gamble.
Yeah. Speaking of the Wrath of Han, I got a question. Have you seen Rick Hahn? I haven't seen Rick Hahn. I haven't seen Rick Hahn.
That's interesting. Yeah,
This is sort
conspicuously
of the
absent.
Fest move. You just don't do it.
Yeah, nothing to see here.
Yeah. My media session. I'm just not going to show up to that.
Okay, so I'm confused by that. Is that every return from a road trip, or there's usually a media session with the general manager?
Exactly. That's a scheduled event. Normally a scheduled event for the media and Rick Hahn.
And it just didn't happen this week.
He never came out to the dugout. He just didn't show up.
I mean, I can't blame him, but that seems dereliction of duty.
I agree.
Considering the state that his franchise is in right now, it seems like I'm sure he doesn't have any great answers for anybody, but what the fuck? At least show up and do your job.
Well, I mean, if you're going to go out in the public a few weeks earlier and say you can put this on me,
yeah,
then you got to wear it.
That's really interesting. Yeah, you can't put it on him when he's not around.
That's always a loophole.
Wow. He's a smart. I mean, he is a Michigan grad. He's not a stupid man, but he's found that loophole.
Maybe his judgment of talent or something might be stupid based on this rebuild situation right now, but
based in the last decade. But
yeah, but
we'll visit. I'm sure we'll be visiting that at some point in this season as well.
But yeah, so yeah, it's a weird, as always. It's a weird and somewhat funny and somewhat annoying as a fan situation with the White Sox. More controversy happened this week. Just
White Sox controversy?
Yeah. Tim Anderson did not advance on a pass ball to second. The fans started booing, and he said something to Jose, which Jose agreed with. Now, there's this is almost like the JFK magic bullet scenario, because
I was thinking this is projection. This is like that gold dress or purple dress a few years ago.
Oh, right. Yeah, it is.
It's like some people see one thing, some people see something completely, or the laurel versus, I forgot what the other word was, but you'd hear somebody say laurel, but it sounded like something completely different to other people.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's people's essentially they're projecting their own ideas onto situations. And I think this is a perfect example of that, at least involving White Sox Nation.
Yes, and it all comes down to the magic extra word. This is where everyone gets hung up. I thought this is what I thought he said. He was getting booed because he didn't have a clear look at the ball. He didn't advance. He walked back to the plate, and I thought he said, "I hate this place, Jose." And Jose shook his head, yes.
I know, is what he looks like he says, but
I know, right.
I've heard similar versions of that. I've heard you can see by the look on his face, it would make sense that he's saying, getting booed. He's just forlorn. He's upset. You can tell. He's like, I hate this place, bro. Is one thing I've heard.
Okay, yeah, that works too. Yeah, I could see him saying that, bro.
Or I've heard, I hate this place, dog. I think that might be a term I've heard him use before, and that's where Jose just knowingly says, "I know." I actually responded. You and I had a dialogue about this on social media where I responded with a Han Solo. I know. I have to admit, I stole that from somebody in that same tweet chain, whatever. So I can't take credit for that one. I thought that was too perfect. There is another theory, at least one other theory.
Yes, and this is the extra word theory that people can imagine him saying Jose, bro, or what was the other option?
Dog.
He couldn't say those words. It was clock. He said clock.
I call this the Chuck Garfien theory, the Chucky Sunshine.
Chucky Sunshine has he did some reporting. He went down allegedly, and I saw the tweet that he has confirmed. He did not say I hate this place. I hate the pitch clock. He said, someone asked him, how do you know he said that? He said his response to him on Twitter was by being a reporter or by reporting or something like that, which is a very ambiguous answer that does not sound like he went down and talked to Tim Anderson at all. Or anything like that.
It just doesn't make any sense in the context of what was it everyone actually saw at the time. Like, why would he, after he's already on base, while he's being booed by his home fans, confiding in an old friend who escaped the South Side this past season, your theory seems to hold far more water than Chucky Sunshine's. I hate the pitch clock. I just don't understand where that would come from. I think that's just, again, people projecting him always being the optimist when it comes to Sox matters. He couldn't imagine anyone hating being on the South Side.
But, this would come, him saying, I hate this place, will come fresh off the comments he made in the offseason. That's why I find it totally plausible on how he doesn't like it when he thinks the fans are too abusive. And even Chuck, you've been too hard on us. And you know what? How can it be? And this is what I don't know if you saw my tweet about this, but I said, who cares if Tim said that? That's how he feels, and why shouldn't he?
Yeah.
Even when they're good, you don't go to games, fans. When they do anything that you guys, you're so fucking smart with baseball. Anything they do out there, you fucking boo your team. Like, you are the worst. They should move the fucking team because you don't deserve the White Sox.
Whoa. Wow.
I mean, you are the most bitter, angry, sufferable fan base on the fucking planet right now. And you're, this is wrong and that's wrong. Go support your fucking team, because at the end of the day, the fucking owner doesn't care whether you show up or not. I can cover this again. He's rich. He's he's a billionaire. He doesn't fucking care. He's getting his money no matter what.
Well, revenue sharing means that he doesn't have to sell a single ticket to make a profit on
exactly.
Season,
so fucking go support the players. Show them some love. It's not their fault. Well, I mean, part of it is their fault, I guess. But I mean, but you know what I mean?
It's a significant portion of their fault.
But like, there are players out there fucking playing their ass off, and they deserve fucking fans in the seats. Think about it, guys. 2005, I was able to get season tickets midway through the season and went to World Series games because you fucking don't go to games even when they're good.
Wow.
You get what you deserve. And you know what? Honestly, most of the fan base, your so-called fans, you deserve this. You deserve the captain of the team saying, I hate this place. You know why he hates this place? Because there's 14,000 fans there and they're all booing. I fucking hate it too. Just no fucking class.
I'm kind of speechless here because I was not prepared for you to go scorched earth on the White Sox fans themselves, but there's frustration everywhere, and it's pointed in multiple directions. You could see why Tim would be frustrated. I agree. Maybe there's more than just the fans that he's upset with. The organization is let him down. Maybe I can't believe he'd be in a positive state of mind. When his team that he's a leader on has lost twice as many games as they won so far, and they're supposed to be in a World Series winning contending window. Those are all the reasons why I'm pretty sure he did say I hate this place, and you just explained one reason why he's very justified in that. So I'm on board. I understand. Chuck, like to your point, I think maybe he might be, feeling that interview you mentioned, you referenced earlier before the season started, where Tim Anderson called him out that he needed to be pulling on the same rope along with the team. So maybe Chuck is covering for him in a way. I don't know, but again, lip reading is an inexact science. It seems like
definitely, yeah.
John Boy has made a career out of it and is awesome at it. I was hoping he would jump in. I haven't seen that he.
Yeah, I haven't seen him jump in on it. So
I tagged him in our tweet about it, but I'm sure he gets tagged thousands of times a day. So alas, it might not happen. But I'd love to hear his take on it. But there is a third theory that I want to throw out.
Oh God, it is a magic bullet theory. Go ahead.
The first thing I saw, and I think it makes perfect sense, is he was telling his best friend Jose Abreu, I have a pink ox. And if you look at it, it looks exactly that's what he's saying. But
maybe he does. Babe the pink ox.
I can't figure out in what context that would be true, but it just looks exactly like that. So
and you think Jose's like, I know, I remember,
I know. I've seen the
I know you got a pink ox.
Sounds like a weird euphemism that I don't want to get too far into.
I got another sip of beer. I got fired up there.
Jesus. So yeah, I mean, it's another weird thing that could only happen with the White Sox this season. Just more reasons why we do we never run out of things to talk about with the White Sox, and that's why you have your own dedicated Sox Type Thing podcast. Even though we are wrapping this in the hole again this week, but you guys never cease to entertain all of baseball.
Speaking of entertaining, I don't know if you've seen this, but this morning on local news, I'm assuming it was either a White Sox fan or a coach had filmed Jake Berger in batting practice talking. I don't remember who he was talking to, but he said his wife lets him know that she knows when his mechanics are off because she can't see his butt when he's swinging. And to which he simplified, hey guys, butt equals home runs.
Does that mean he's like his posture is wrong?
Yeah,
or his angle
right.
Wrong,
yeah, she says she knows, and like I don't know if it's like his like he's too upright and not sticking his ass out enough. It didn't really clarify, but it's just a really funny conversation. It's probably up somewhere. It's worth checking out.
So we're gonna have to go on like every Burger at bat. We're gonna be on the Burger butt watch.
I'm on the butt watch tonight. Yeah, for sure.
Jesus,
I'm on the butt watch tonight.
That's unfortunate, but
yeah, the Burger butt watch. It has the Burger butt watch BBW.
Yeah, I'll make a logo.
Please don't.
I'm not sure I want to do that.
No, you don't. You're good. You're good. We got to figure out how to make the D a B for the Tigers, and you got a lot of work to do. It doesn't all work out like the Cubs.
I've got plenty of work on my plate right now. I'll let that one go off to the side.
And finally, in closing, I visited Pete at the park. I visited the Sox game for the sixth time this year, but
Friday night,
rain delay, 2 hours. We got out of the ballpark about 12:30. I mean, I don't think I've ever been to the ballpark that late. We did stay for the fireworks. So
they were serving beer throughout the rain delay, were they not?
Not only did they serve beer throughout the rain delay, we have been, I think you and I were at a rain delay once, and we got cut off in like the 5th inning or so. We got cut off at the end of the 7th. So welcome to the new fast ballpark game that they decided to just let the beer sales flow right through the 7th. Yeah. So
and it was like a 2-hour rain delay, wasn't it?
Yeah, you gotta chalk that up to let's look at Pete's time at the park there. He was there when the gates opened. So Robin and I could get to.
Were you wearing a suit?
I was not, thank God. I was dressed appropriately for the weather. So we could get to the Vizzy View Bar seats.
That's right. I have sat in those seats.
Because of the rain. Also, I'd like to point out that we did have tickets in 110 row 31 for only $10 each, but thank you, secondary market continues. Yeah. It actually cost us more for the parking pass than it did for 2 tickets.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it's going, guys. They did lose unceremoniously that night. The only highlight was a Lewis Robert bomb. He's been crushing the ball. We'll get to in a minute.
We'll get to that.
But here's what I want to do real quick. So Smitty's was part of this. So over the last 4 games, I have really not sat in regular seats.
Oh, that's right.
Here's what I've done. Smitty and I, as we already covered here, got outrageously priced tickets for the scout seats. Then the next night, Robin and I got outrageously priced tickets for the Guaranteed Rate Club, which is basically level 200 behind the scout seats. So I was a little bit further back and a little bit higher. Then the following Wednesday for the Minnesota game, Robin and I went to the Miller Lite Landing seats and sat in the front row along the fence.
That's out in right field.
Yeah, right field. And then finally, we sat at the Vizzy View Bar the whole game until the 8th inning when we walked down for fireworks.
That's overlooking left field below fundamentals.
Exactly. And it's a perfect cover. It's real easy to get beer because once the game starts, there's no one there.
Yeah, it's essentially a bar inside with bar stools outside, a little rail for your seating. It's nice if you can get a seat. It's always been packed except for the last time I had seats there last September. You were gone that weekend. Actually, I went with Erdman and Vit, but we grabbed seats out there because we got there pretty early, so we were able to. Yeah. You sent me a photo when you first got there, and it was
me
completely
and
empty.
It was Robin and I.
You were the entire attendance.
Yeah, I would say about 15 minutes later, it actually filled in. So I got nervous there for a second. I'm like, are we supposed to be here right now?
Well, you had the perfect spot. I mean, that's the strategy. You got there, you got your seats completely covered, no chance of getting rained on. You've got the bar right behind you with plenty of craft brews on tap.
Yeah, and I have to say, and then it also allows you the access. You can just walk down and grab your ballpark favorites too and bring them right back up. So
true. There's a restroom up there.
Yeah, you get your own restroom. You don't have to. I mean, my goal is not to sit with the commoners, these unworthy fans, the rest of the year because I'm better than you. Wow. But anyway, I'm gonna go through like a mixed grading system here real quick. So best view by far was our scout seats. I mean, that was
ridiculous.
That was ridiculous. I mean,
you got to walk up to the fence and yell your displeasure.
Yeah, I still have that recorded on the DVR. I'm gonna rewind that back and see if I can hear myself and report back on that. I haven't
crazy man in a Sox type thing hat screaming at an umpire who does not care what he thinks.
I know he definitely did not. He didn't even ask me to be escorted out of the game. I didn't even earn that right. What a jerk.
Not even close.
But what I would say, I think you would agree with, or where the scout seat experience goes is if you want ballpark food, you don't really get that there. It's pretty fancy from a food standpoint,
Yeah, it's kind of
almost too
overkill.
fancy. Yeah,
Yeah, a
almost
little too,
over.
at least for us,
Yeah,
our style.
I would say like that you need to offer more standard ballpark favorites down there. That's all I would say. That would be, and then it would be at the prices we got them. It would be a slam dunk
Yeah.
a few times a year, no doubt.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay full price for any of that,
No,
but
God, no.
fortunately, we got a fantastic deal, so
So I would say number two on the view would be the next night on the at the guaranteed rate club. Just obviously a little further
200
back,
level right behind
200
home
level.
plate.
You got a little higher,
Okay.
perspective, which is nice. Uh, you were covered, which is another bonus. The weather was fine that night, but
But
um,
you never
it's
know.
you never know. Same deal, unlimited bar, waitresses at the seats, but I will give them for food options available like between the two. Guaranteed Rate Club, hands down, it had more just ballpark type food. You could get nachos at your seat. You could get
Nice.
dogs, chicken fingers and stuff. It was like and even the buffet setup had like pulled pork on it and things like that, just like normal bar and ballpark food. So that was that. The worst really experience overall was the Miller Lite Landing, and it was
Really?
it's because we bought that very front row. You get too much cut off. It's bad angles. It's a
Mm.
terrible perspective. I think if you're on like that third row where you're raised, it would be fine. Um,
Yeah, see, I haven't been there in a long time, and you and I have been years ago. We were right on the field in those picnic tables, right up
yeah,
against the
that's where
fence.
our seats were, but it just didn't. It wasn't. It was a bad view. It
Okay, I
really
remember
was compared to the other views I had that week.
there was also a second level to that where they had tables.
Right, and that's
I
that
don't even
third
know if
row. That's that third
okay,
row where
that's still there?
would have been fine.
Okay.
Some nice things is there is like in-seat TVs, so you can see stats and stuff like that.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I haven't
and
heard of that.
they did have a pretty their menu. Now this is an all in. I should take a, that none of this is all inclusive. You do
Yeah,
get a $20 credit for food and drink down there as part of your ticket,
okay,
but you don't. It's not all inclusive like the other two. But
sure.
I did have. I have a picture of it. I haven't posted it yet. I will after, or I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Um, I had this burger called the South Sider, and it was a double patty topped with bone of beef and hot jardinere.
Oh my god.
I was fucking delicious. It was insane.
Well,
Um,
that's a $4,000 4,000 calorie burger right there.
yeah, it was only, but it wasn't $4,000. It was only like 14.95 or something.
Wow,
So
that's an
yeah,
all-time value.
like a ballpark value right there. So, yeah, it doesn't sound like it might be good, but it really did work out pretty well. It was like a dream burger for me. So, yeah, that was good. And then here's the Vizzy View Bar. I'll tell you what, best deal in the house if you can get there and get the seat because
Yeah,
it's a great view.
there's no special ticket.
No,
Anybody
yeah,
can go there that's on the lower. I guess anybody outside of the 500 level can go.
yeah.
But
Well, everyone's been bitching that they don't let anyone down there. Trust me, guys, that's an unsubstantiated bitch after like the third or fourth inning. Basically, what the
okay,
Sox are doing right now is they're saying, up until a point, we're going to let the people who bought tickets to this level, that's all we're going to let in. But then after that point, it's been free game. They were not checking tickets
okay,
because to leave that bar, you know how you have to go down that ramp and then
yep.
walk through. I took out my ticket. The guy's like, no, I don't need to see the ticket. It's late enough in the game. So just to level set the reports, I'm pretty sure every ballpark at the beginning of a game checks your seats as you're going into the park, but later on in the game, all the rules become looser because it doesn't really fucking matter.
Right.
So that's the deal that the White Sox are doing too. So just shut your fucking mouth again, White Sox Twitter, you big fucking pussies.
Wow.
And that's all I got for the Sox.
All right. Wow, that's plenty. Again, another eventful week in White Sox Nation. Did not expect you to go scorched earth on the nation itself, but it was an impressive rant.
What's your grade for the A's?
Yes, this leaves the Oakland / Las Vegas A's, which I'll get to in a moment. But I will, since we are grading the first quarters of all of our teams, I have to say the A's don't get a grade. They are choosing not to be a Major League Baseball team, so they've essentially dropped out of school. So they don't get any grades when you're not in school. So they just don't get a grade. It's not an incomplete or anything like that. They're just ungraded because they're not even a Major League Baseball team right now.
They do not have double-digit wins yet.
No, they are averaging, I think they said, I forgot the stat now, but it's like 2,000 people at a game right now. So it is a sad state of affairs. The only news I want to share is the only interesting thing about the A's is their pending move or potential move to Las Vegas has a little more news as of yesterday. The reports came that there is a now sealed down agreement.
Whoa!
Between Bally Corp and the Oakland A's, or the Athletics, as the city is now not going to be Oakland. That contrasts with the binding agreement that we spoke of 2 weeks ago. Now it is a sealed down agreement, which is another weird way to put it. That's the way ESPN decided to phrase it. It is a little different. This is actually a real deal. Mainly, it's different because Bally, the owners of the property, have made this announcement. It's not the A's talking about it. So I would say the owner of the Tropicana, the same deal we mentioned last time, the still a $1.5 billion stadium. It is now $395 million of taxpayer money that the Athletics are asking for to complete this stadium. One difference I saw was that it's down to only 30,000 seats, which seems absurdly small.
That's smaller than some probably minor league fields.
Well, minor league parks probably max out about 15,000.
I'm joking.
But it's close for sure. But yeah, I thought 35,000 sounded a little bit small, but now that it's only 30,000, it's kind of jarring. But I think finally this is the real deal, mainly just because the owners of the property are announcing it. So it will be on the location of the Tropicana Casino, which you said was a really interesting location for a ballpark, as you are far more familiar with Las Vegas than I am, since I've never been there. But I guess this means it's a real deal. Finally, we can say that the A's will be moving. Apparently, they want to break ground on this stadium next year, but it would not be ready until 2027. The A's have a lease in the Oakland Coliseum that lasts through 2024. So they're going to have to figure out a place to play in 25 and 26. That most likely is going to be the Las Vegas ballpark where AAA Aviators play. They also happen to be the A's AAA affiliate. So there's some synergy there. I think they're going to be able to figure it out. That stadium, I believe, it does hold 15,000, and it is state of the art. It was rebuilt, a brand new stadium. I actually did an RFP for the company I used to work for to get the catering side of that. I think that was in 2017 when they were building that. So
okay,
it's a cool ass stadium. I do have some graphics up in that stadium actually, because I still do work for the catering company that runs their concessions. So a small little tidbit I like to throw in there from time to time. The Aviators, they're named after, of course, Howard Hughes, the great aviator, and I forget what the connection is between them, but it's kind of a weird logo if you ask me. But I think they're going to be sharing their ballpark with the A's, and it'll be interesting to see which team actually draws more fans throughout those 2 seasons. The Oakland A's, they're, like I said, they're just not even a Major League Baseball team right now. What they've put on the field is not worthy of a Major League logo. So this is it feels kind of like a final chapter, but there's a long ways to go. The Nevada legislature has to approve this $395 million part of this financing to get that money from the taxpayers. I believe that is coming to a vote as of next week. And since that is coming up so soon, makes me think those votes have been secured. That is, I don't think that should be an issue, although this whole
Right.
process has been a clusterfuck. So I guess shouldn't be too surprised if that gets screwed up. But I think just logically that they knew this part was coming. They're ready for the vote. It's not that they're you hear about a vote sometime in September that we have to wait for that. And that's a lot of what was going on with the Oakland negotiations. The city, we'd cross a milestone, but they'd be, months away from the next one just because no one was interested in getting a deal done for myriad reasons, clearly. But
right.
So this is I was kind of mocking everyone writing the obituary last week for the Oakland A's. This is starting to feel, even in my cynical, skeptical mind, this is starting to feel like a real done deal, a sealed down agreement, as ESPN would put it, as opposed to a binding agreement.
I think my theory that Oakland is just going to get annexed by San Francisco and just be completely gone is right around the corner.
Well, certainly from a sports franchise perspective, that is a fait accompli. that is it. I mean, they've like we said a couple episodes ago, they've lost all three of their professional sports franchises in the last 5 years, with the Raiders, the Warriors, and the A's, all leaving the interesting. I lived in Oakland. I lived in Emeryville, which is just north of Oakland, right across the Bay Bridge. So I'm very familiar with the East Bay. It is a very different area than San Francisco, even though it's just separated by a bay and a couple of bridges. It's a unique area for sure. I don't think they deserve to lose their teams. It just comes down to the politics of it. I guess I'm sad for my Oakland A's friends. Again, I'm able to view this a little bit dispassionately, as I'm in Michigan. I'm a distant fan. A's would be my third favorite team, just because my experience with them, and I've gone over that many times, why I have some affinity for them. So them leaving for Vegas doesn't break my heart. I think but that's easy for me to say. I can't imagine what it would be like to lose my team. You kind of just joked about it during your White Sox segment, how they should move the franchise. I don't think that's what you really feel, but I think it would be the worst thing. I just can't imagine what I would do. I think the easy answer is, if I was in Oakland, you could try to root for the Las Vegas A's, but how could you not just be so bitter about how this all went down, how wrong all of this was, how the owner just was trying to get more of your taxpayer dollars, and you said no. He already had enough of your money, so he just took his plaything and left. And it's not like they have a short or embarrassing history there. They have an incredible history over their time there. Multiple championships. I think they won 4 championships in Oakland alone. It's just sad. I feel for you. I just there's more to this. We'll be getting updates from time to time, but I don't know why I would talk about the A's for the rest of this season. I mean, I'm giving them I couldn't even give them a first quarter grade because they're so irrelevant. The only interesting about them is this potential move. So it's gross, all of it. I guess you could say Las Vegas fans can rejoice. I don't know much about Vegas. Everybody thinks of it as a transient town, because it's all based on tourism. It is a large city. It is a large population, a growing population of people that live there. I'm not sure how many are baseball fans. I certainly hope that it works there. I hope to see 30,000 people filling that stadium. Doesn't seem like too tall of a task, but it's going to be odd, and it's going to be, I guess, interesting to see how things play out as we go forward.
All right.
Well, I think we should move to our new favorite segment that we just started this year, our Badass of the Week. I think these have been really interesting for different reasons every time we've done them. This week, we've got a really unique setup because we have 2 players that are essentially making their, well, not major league debuts. One is making a major league debut this week and was already did so well, was nominated for a Badass of the Week. Christopher Morel is coming back for the first time this season and is already worthy of a nomination. And the third, of course, is Luis Robert, who is nominated seemingly every week.
Third time.
Yes. Yeah, this would be his third nomination. So this is going to be fun. You've got the numbers over there. Let's break down all three of them.
I will. Can I ask you a question before we start this segment? I know we've been doing Badass of the Week. Are we going to do Badass of the Month?
We could. That's an interesting thing. Yeah. I don't see why not.
Okay. I just want to make sure Luis Robert definitely gets an award.
Well, yeah, we might. Yeah, we could change the rules to anything we want. So yes, we could.
Because before we get into his numbers for the week, I just want to let you know that now, are you familiar with? I think you probably are, but for those that aren't, there's a stat called SOPS plus. It's where they take your OPS plus, but then they measure
average it out with the rest of the league.
Yeah. His is
100. 100 is the average. So anything over 100 is above. Anything below is below average.
And his is 286 for the month of May against the rest of the league.
That's impressive.
Yeah. But so let's get to this week's stats. They're kind of close for everyone's got something here, something there. We'll start with our most nominated player this year, Luis Robert Jr. 9 for 26, 4 home runs, 8 runs, 7 RBIs, 1.255 OPS, and then the aforementioned returning Chris Morel, who had a pretty good end of the year for the Cubs last year. He was also 9 for 26 with 4 home runs, 6 runs, 9 RBI, 1 stolen base, and a 1.192 OPS. And then also I hinted at him earlier, and Smitty just mentioned him. Casey Schmitt, I feel like all of these guys are highlights in a not so great year for our team.
Yes, for sure.
13 for 28. He's hitting a lot.
That's a way to make your major league debut.
2 homers, 5 runs, 5 RBIs, and a 1.285 OPS. So
he's got the highest OPS of the 3.
Yeah, I mean that's just
7 games into
hitting.
his major league career.
Yeah, that's just he's got more hits, 4 more hits than each of them.
Yeah, he must be knocking out doubles too because he's only got the 2 home runs.
Yeah, but his OPS is 30 points higher than Luis Robert Jr.'s. I mean,
so we're gonna have to break this down by stat, I think, and add up who's got the most of each. Because so Schmitt is the leader in OPS, so that's a star on his side. Who's the leader in home runs? I'm forgetting all the numbers now,
but they're tied. Robert and Morel are tied at 4. So that's out.
Yeah, so we can't go based on that. RBI, who's leading RBI?
Morel. So it's
9-8,
9 to 7 with Robert.
Okay, and Schmitt has
5. Okay. So it would be 1-1 Morel right now. Morel and Schmitt.
Okay.
Then you get to runs, but Robert has 8, Morel has 6, and Schmitt has 5. So now it's 1-1-1.
Yeah, so each of them leading the category. I don't know how we decide this.
And the only way to truly the tiebreaker, but it's kind of part of OPS. But I mean, I think it goes to Schmitt because he has 13 hits, and the other 2 only have 9.
If he had the 4 home runs, I think that would be easy to give it to him. But he's lacking in that, I guess. I would also counterbalance that with Christopher Morel's 1 stolen base, which is a little bit cherry picking, but he is the only one to steal a base this week.
Well, you would think you had more runs then. I'm just fucking around.
How many? I don't have. I don't remember.
He has 6 runs and Robert has 8.
Okay.
I don't know.
This is so crazy because it's like I thought it was going to be an easy Luis Robert, like he would just run away with it, but he's got the second highest OPS. He's tied for the most home runs. I do want to bring up Christopher Morel did have a 461-foot home run to the second deck in Minnesota. He also had a 429-foot opposite field home run to the second deck in Minnesota. That was on Friday and the only game they won. But I don't think it's fair that we've gone this long without having Luis Robert winning the badass of the week. I think we have to give it to him. I don't think it's a charity. I don't think I'm doing that because I feel bad for him. I think he earned it. He's earned it, like you said, for the entire month of May so far. And those guys have only played 1 week in the majors, so this year at least. So I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna vote for Luis.
You're not gonna get any argument from me.
Okay. Was that going to be your vote, or were you kind of leaning towards Schmitt?
Well, if we were just doing like category to category, then
well, maybe... he falls short in 3 of them though, so that's why.
Well, they're all a wall. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I see what you're saying. Yeah, he actually is last place in 3 of them. I mean, yeah, Luis Robert Jr. right now is just having a fucking month.
Yeah. I mean, ever since he didn't leg it out on that one play, and he heard some boos, didn't he?
Yeah, he heard some boos. His OPS for the month is better than his OPS for the week. It's 1.443.
So this is a down week for him.
Yeah, it's a down week for
last week. Jesus,
compared to the month, it's a down week.
We're giving it to Luis Robert. La Pantera. We got to give it to Luis Robert Jr. He finally gets on the board with his badass of the week.
The most nominated guy. He's batting .333 in badass of the week.
Nice. So every week it's totally different. I didn't have any pitchers for this week.
There was.
So, but that worked out well because it was hard enough to determine who the best batter was this week. So, and a welcome addition to Christopher Morel and Casey Schmitt, as we haven't been able to talk about them yet, but boy, have they made an impact early on in their tenure this year.
Yes.
Fun shit. I love it.
Could be more to come from them too. So
I have a feeling we might see more from them. They might be nominated soon enough. So,
well, speaking of ass, Smitty.
Well, I think we are moving on to our flagship segment, our asshole of the week.
Dun, dun.
This week, I am impugning an entire organization, which is always fun to do. An organization that I'm considerably annoyed with a lot of the time, as they reside in the Cubs NL Central. St. Louis Cardinals made asses of themselves over this past week when it came to the Willson Contreras catcher / DH / outfielder situation, as he was publicly humiliated by his own organization and demoted, losing his catching position that he was essentially hired for as a free agent for the next 5 years for $87.5 million. 30 games in, he was summarily dismissed of those duties publicly again. And that's really where this comes to the asshole, how they earned their asshole of the week for me. I love a conspiracy theory. I love corporate espionage. I love the idea of even a baseball franchise sending a mole into a rival organization to destroy them from within. We've talked about this over the years with examples of Jose Quintana being sent by your White Sox over to the Cubs to destroy the 2017 Cubs, which he did quite well. The Cubs returned that favor in 2021 when they sent Craig Kimbrell to destroy the 2021 White Sox, which he did quite well. Of course, those are conspiracy theories. Those are just fun things we wrote on the blog or talked about on the podcast. Of course, they're not true. Those players are trying their fucking hardest to do all things to better their team, better their own careers. There's no legs behind that, but it's just fun to talk about. But I kind of think the Cardinals thought it was real. I think the Cardinals really believed that the Cubs sent Willson Contreras to their organization to destroy them from within. They experienced the worst start they had in 50 years since 1973. They could not explain how they were so bad and chose to publicly humiliate their new free agent, Willson Contreras. I can't understand why they would do this for any other reason other than they could not explain how bad they were and they needed someone to take the fall. And it was easy enough just to publicly say that, our catcher is not good enough and he needs to go. I obviously I'm joking, but at the same time, why was any of this made public? Why did the Cardinals feel the need to say we are moving Willson Contreras from his catcher duties? First of all, they said he was going to be an outfielder and a DH. The next day, they said he was just going to be a DH. Then, less than 1 week later, he is now catching once again. That is my part of everyone's consternation. Like, what are you doing? Why was any of this public? Why would there was even some rumor thrown out there that the starting rotation of the Cardinals went to Ali Marmol, their manager, and requested Willson losing his catching duties because they didn't want to throw to him, which is obviously false because last night he returned to his catching duties, and to which Jack Flaherty threw 7 innings of no-run ball and had 10 strikeouts. They won the game 18-1 against their rival Milwaukee Brewers. So obviously Willson wasn't the problem if you see that. And if he's been given his duties right back within a week, all of this could have been conducted completely privately and we would have not known a thing if they just hadn't come out publicly and said, we are relieving him of his catching duties. All they had to do is play him at DH for a week, sort it out, figure out what, maybe they said publicly he needs to prepare more. Really what they were saying is he's not Yadier Molina because nobody is. And they were telling us for 20 years that nobody is Yadier Molina. So the idea that they were blindsided by that Willson Contreras wasn't Yadier Molina is ludicrous. How they chose to handle it is why I'm making them my assholes of the week, because this was so ham-fistedly administered by the Cardinals, who are known to be a classy, first-rate organization that couldn't have handled this more poorly. This is not just a Cubs fan or me, a major league a-hole, as I have called ourselves for 10 years. I've heard similar just expressions of perplexion from regular national journalists like Buster Olney and Tim Kirchin on the Baseball Tonight podcast. We're asking each other the same questions, like how could they handle it this way? This makes zero sense what the Cardinals are doing, and they didn't have answers either. So there's more to this. I guess the bright side of things is that Willson's back catching. The other part of this that is strange, and maybe coincidental, but the Cardinals won 7 out of their last 8 games since all this started. I believe that might be 8 out of 9 now that Willson is back, and they won that game going away last night. So, they put him in a horrible position. If they had lost that game last night, what would fans say? They were on a roll at that point, which is really just coincidence. But he comes back to catch. Yeah. He comes back to catch. What if they got blown out 18-1? What would that do to Willson Contreras? I think it's cool for him, at least, that he didn't have to deal with that. But for the organization to put any player in that position is unconscionable. It's unbelievable. I think there's 2 ways to look at it. Either they just literally are that incompetent, or they did it on purpose. Either way, they're fucking assholes.
I mean, it did win them a lot of games. So.
It was a brilliant strategy. Just try to ruin their new free agent catcher. But
the funny thing is, did you read the reason why he's back at catcher? Your line was perfect. That is pure coincidence that they went on the winning streak while he was not catching, because while he wasn't catching, the starting pitcher's ERA over those games was 1 run higher than when he was the catcher. So
just happens to be that Nolan Arenado woke up finally.
They
Schmitt.
Yeah, they said, well, the pitching staff had a higher ERA without him back there, and we liked his progress over the past week.
Progress. Okay.
Yes. So there you go. He's back.
Jesus Christ. What a clown show.
Yeah, I agree. Like, there's no reason, even if you're asked, like, well, how come Contreras is DHing tonight? Like, we're keeping him fresh.
Yes.
There's so many answers to not bring it out.
Or maybe you could just say he's got a little bit of a back issue, just cover for him, whatever.
Yeah.
Catchers are out all the time. Maybe no one would even ask if he was gone for that week. If he was a DH that whole week, not catching, and they went on a winning streak, especially if they went on that same winning streak without them saying anything, no one would be asking about it. They would just say, hey, we're on a winning streak. Let's go. So I'm glad you brought that up, because it could have been so easily just swept under the rug. If that's really what they wanted to do, if that really happened, that the starting staff came to management and said, we don't want this guy catching us anymore, that has to be false. I just can't imagine that happening. And he was catching last night all of a sudden. So.
Yeah, catching last night and seemed to be doing okay.
Yeah. So I feel very justified in calling the entire St. Louis Cardinals organization our assholes of the week.
Hear, hear.
Well, wow, I feel good after that.
2 rants tonight.
Yeah, I feel good. So I think we should close this good feeling out with another one of my favorite, and now I believe your favorite segments, are aesthetics.
Believe what you want to believe.
Well, this is the second week in a row where we're talking about a Nike City Connect uniform being revealed. This week it's in Cincinnati. So the Reds are they're barely red anymore. They're very black.
They're going White Sox style on this one.
That's the first thing I thought of. They're very reminiscent of the White Sox South Side City Connect jerseys. All black hat, black jersey, black pants, no pinstripes like your Sox, but a lot of red and white accents. My first impression is they look sharp.
I think they do look sharp.
They kind of took a modern approach, just kind of modernized, made up their own logo, a brand new C logo for the hat that's very stylized. They have Cincy across the chest and kind of a neon sign type effect. Cincy obviously is the well-known nickname of the city. I thought that made perfect sense. I thought the whole look was good. They did have an explanation for parts of the different elements, which you and I have mocked on previous occasions, especially with Texas was the worst. Yeah. Seattle was getting up there a little bit convoluted. We don't really if it needs to be explained that much, it's probably off point. But since he did have an explanation, but it was far less verbose than what we've seen in the past, I'm giving them points for that. But
yeah, there's 3 things or 4 things they talk about. That's it, and it's not even like. There's a motto. What's it? Juncta Javant.
Yeah, I had to look that one up. That was the one part that I didn't understand. There's a Buckeye leaf, which I did understand, but then the words, whatever you just said, they're Latin. 2 words in Latin that start with J. That I had no idea. What is it? What does it mean again?
It's Cincinnati's motto, which is strength and unity.
It's fine. That's fine. That's inside the collar, I believe, or is that someplace else? I missed where that was, but I think that's where it is.
It doesn't show where it's at on.
I think it's the same place where Seattle put the cross pitch cross tridents and the Soto. I think that's right in the back. So what else do they have?
And then the names and numbers on the jersey illuminate the flashes of infrared color sparked by the passion of our city and our team. Again, this is one of those explanations Nike gives that is not necessary.
Also, infrared is not visible. So the irony of that, the idea they're calling I know why they're calling it infrared, because it sounds cool, but it's just red.
And the last thing they talk about, and I'm seriously, guys, I'm not even kidding. Then we're done with this jersey. Wow. It's insane.
Usually this is a much longer segment.
Yes, the classic C logo receives a modernized look and appears on both the cap and sleeve. It's evolved to the bold badge of honor, symbolizing the vision of today's Reds. The wavelength lines course throughout the uniform, representing the collective energy that connects and aligns all of Reds country. The contemporary design of the piping signifies moving forward and lighting the way to what comes next. And
again,
that's where you lose us.
Yeah, again, the piping. We don't need to describe the symbolism of piping on any uniform, but that's fine. But again, this is their explanation. I think they feel obligated to have explanations on stuff just because the other teams have. But they kept this to a minimum.
Yes.
They also kept the historical references to a minimum. There are none, as far as I can tell, which is kind of ironic considering they are the oldest of professional baseball organizations. So they're over 150 years old. It's that I found that interesting. I think that's cool though, because I feel like they've played into that throughout their history. They play into their history throughout their history. They've done myriad throwback uniforms. And their uniforms really haven't changed a ton over the years.
No.
They have had black in their uniform before. I think it was the 90s where that sleeveless look was popular. I think they had black sleeves underneath. They had the famous C kind of drop shadow outlined in black before. They may have had a black brimmed hat before. So the black color does not come from nowhere. So I thought that was cool too. Again, overall, even they got a little bit verbose. Can't hold them against them. If you take the uniforms and their face value, which is really what they're for, I think they look great. I think the look is cool. The logos that they chose have, they don't really reference any past Reds look, which is fine. And they just went for something modern. Like if they were starting a brand new team in Cincinnati, that might be their uniform. I think it makes sense. I like it.
Yeah, I feel like it's a uniform where you could almost like see the team. That would be their uniform.
Yeah, and that's the compliment we gave the White Sox. The Southside jerseys just looks like their third jersey. It doesn't look like a special one-off thing that Nike pulled out of their ass.
Well, in the case of the White Sox, that's like their 5th or 6th jersey they wear during the season. But but that's a whole nother story.
That's another story. But so I'm going to go ahead and give a double middle fingers up for the Cincinnati Reds City Connect jerseys.
Ooh, let's go!
Wow. All right. We were in disagreement last week about the Mariners City Connect uniforms.
I mean, you just didn't know, but that's cool.
I didn't want to give them a negative review just because of that fucking hat. That was so great, but I had to do it. I think these Cincy uniforms are a step up from that. So I don't know when the next City Connect uniforms will be released.
Let's hope not next week. I need a break.
This is a lot for you. I appreciate
your patience. I need a break. I need a break, folks.
I think you're lying. I think you love this, but thank you for participating either way. So I think with that, we might as well wrap up this episode 124 of In the Hole / 26 of Sox Type Thing. Unless you had anything else. We forgot a lot of shit last week.
No, nothing this week. I actually looked at the list. It's
okay, good. Yeah, we
double check the list tonight.
We definitely need to keep sending each other lists because that's the only way to keep this rig on the rails. But
although we must admit, Eloy's surgery was on the list, and we just still missed it last week.
That's unbelievable. But well, you can catch us on social media at Sox Type Thing and at Major League A-Holes. You can catch our YouTube channel at Major League A-Holes. You can catch us on the web at majorleagueaholes.com and soxtypething.com, as well as our merchandise shop at aesthetics.shop, ASSTHETICS.shop. And you can find this podcast anywhere you'd like to find podcasts. So with that, I think we can declare this podcast is over. Peace.
Peace.
Word Hole Media.